Most people don't argue with that. They actually agree. They've lived it, but nothing changes. And it's not because they're not smart. It's not because we're not smart. It's not because they lack discipline. It's because of that money pattern. And that money pattern feels normal, right? Earn it, save it, spend it, start over. No one ever showed them or us how to use money without resetting the clock. This is what the wealthy do differently, right? This is what the banks do differently. So when they see a different way, it just doesn't feel new. It feels wrong. I want to start today a little differently because most of you here, you're not beginners. You've been on these calls. You've heard me talk ad nauseum about infinite banking. You understand compounding. You understand control. You've seen the real life examples. You've probably even nodded your head and said, that makes a lot of sense. So today is not about teaching you something new. It's about asking you something real. Why haven't you started yet? And stick with me because in a few minutes, I'm going to show you the exact moment that most people lose control of their money and why almost nobody sees it while it's happening. And I don't mean that as a pressure. I mean that as leadership because this isn't about understanding money. It's about deciding who controls it. And most people, they stay in the space where they understand just enough to feel good, but not enough to act. And that space is where people stay stuck for years. And you've heard me say this before. Most people don't have a money problem. They have a money pattern. And the pattern is simple most of the time. They wait for clarity. They wait for the right time. They wait until things slow down. They wait until they feel ready for a feeling because life is so uncertain. And let me tell you something real. There is no moment, there isn't a single moment in your life where everything's going to line up perfectly financially. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't exist. There's always something. Kids, business, taxes, unexpected expenses, opportunities. Life doesn't pause so you can get your money perfect, right? Life's never perfect. It's messy. So what happens? People delay. And while they delay, they keep using their money the same way, the same pattern. Spend, reset, start over. Spend, reset, start over. And they don't feel it because it's not painful in the moment. But over time, it compounds in the wrong direction. And this is why many of you have heard me come back to this analogy, this wrestling analogy, over and over. If you don't weigh in, you don't what? You can't wrestle. You don't get to say that you're in the match. And most people never weigh in financially. They don't actually look at their system. They just operate inside of it. And it's a system that they didn't build. And they definitely don't control. And they never stop to weigh in, to really see where they're at. And you don't accidentally build a financial system. You decide to. It's a decision in a moment. Builders don't wait for perfect conditions. They build structure first, right? They build foundation first. And the structure gets better and stronger over time. Most people think this, not you guys, but most people. I'll start when I have more money. That's backwards. The system is what allows you to do more with the money that you already have, not the other way around. It's like building a house. You don't wait till the storm comes, right? Until you know a hurricane's blowing in from the coast to pour the foundation. That'd be crazy. You build it before. So when life really hits, you're ready. You're not scrambling, hoping, praying that things are going to work out. That's the difference. Borrowers react. Builders prepare. They're proactive. And in a minute, I'm going to show you why even people who save well and do everything right still end up going backwards financially over time. This is a pattern that showed up in our life, in my life, 3 or 4 times during a 30-year period in my adult life. And this is where almost everyone gets stuck. Why would I pay interest to borrow my own money? If you ever thought that, put an I in the chat. And I get it because everything you've been taught about money trains you to do one thing: use it and stop it. Think about it. You save money, right? You earn money, then you save it, you spend it, and gone back to zero again and again. So when I say keep your money growing and borrow against it, it feels backwards. But what's actually backwards is stopping your money every time you use it. Let me say that again. You've been trained to assume the risk. You've been trained to interrupt your own compounding over and over and over again. Inside a policy, inside your foundation, your money doesn't leave. It keeps growing. It keeps compounding. It keeps protecting your family. And when you need money, you borrow against it. So now you have your capital still working and money in your hands. That's leverage. And you already participate in it. You've just been on the wrong side of it. Like we say all the time, you're already in banking. You're just not the banker yet. You've been the borrower, the customer, not the controller. So the real question isn't, why would I borrow my own money? The real question is, why should I keep stopping my money every time I use it? Now, here's what's interesting. Most people don't argue with that. They actually agree. Most people don't argue with that. They actually agree. They've lived it, but nothing changes. And it's not because they're not smart. It's not because we're not smart. It's not because they lack discipline. It's because of that money pattern. And that money pattern feels normal, right? Earn it, save it, spend it, start over. No one ever showed them or us how to use money without resetting the clock. This is what the wealthy do differently, right? This is what the banks do differently. So when they see a different way, it just doesn't feel new. It feels wrong. And that's why the next objection shows up. I get this one a lot lately. This feels expensive. And I respect that. When you think the common path that we have, that is normal. This feels expensive. But let's slow down and actually look at what's happening in most people's financial life. Because the traditional system, the common path, has you doing something very specific. It has you give up control of your money first and then try to earn a return on what's left. Think about it. Your money goes to taxes, to debt payments, living expenses, retirement accounts you can't touch. And then somewhere down the line, you're told, now let's try to get a really good return on whatever's left over. How much risk do you want to take on? So you've already lost control. You've given it up. And now you're trying to make up for it on the back end with performance. That's backwards. You feel that? It's completely backwards. That's why so many people, so many conversations with people I've had, they look successful on paper, but are still cash flow tight. This is why Kiyosaki talks about cash flow all the time. Or you've probably heard this before. They're asset rich, but control poor. And when something happens, they don't have access. Their money's locked up. It's locked up in their assets. It's locked up in their accounts. They don't have statements, or they have statements. They don't have control. And this is why I think about the biblical parable, the man who built his house on the rock versus one who builds his house on the sand. The rain came, the winds blew, the storm came through and hits both houses. One stood, one disappeared. And the difference wasn't effort, it wasn't intention, it was the foundation. Most people, again, not you guys, but most people are building their financial life on sand. They're chasing returns without any control. Builders do something different. They build the foundation first, control, liquidity, guarantees. Then everything else sits on top of that. Someone says, this feels expensive. What I hear is I've never been shown how to build the foundation first, because this isn't about spending more money. It's about putting your money in the right place first. When I hear this is expensive, my immediate question for everyone would be, what if it's expansive, not expensive? And here's another big one. This is a fear I hear all the time. Jason, what if I need the money? But most people already don't have control. Let's be real. 401ks, locked. IRAs, penalties, markets, volatility, saving accounts, doing nothing. So people are already choosing between no growth or no access. This system gives you both, guaranteed. And let's be honest, not perfectly at first, but improving every single year, guaranteed. And this is where I tell people the truth. It takes about 2 years of patience for a lifetime of profitability. You're building something. We're thinking long term. And once it's built, everything changes. And in a second, I'm going to show you what this actually looks like with someone doing just 10% of their income, right? Following the first law of wealth. And they're laws for a reason. And there's nothing aggressive about what I'm about to show you. And why this one shift over time changes everything. So those were the three most common objections that I hear in my 4,000 calls. So if you're liking what you're hearing and this is valuable to you, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, smash that button, and ring the bell to be alerted to new content. So let's make this real. Someone earning $150,000 a year, they decide to follow the simple principle I just talked about, the first law of wealth. Pay yourself first and at least 10%, right? From richest man in Babylon. This is $15,000 a year. Now that the money is going somewhere, no matter what, most people don't question it, right? You sign the paperwork when you take the new job, you go up to the match or above it, and it just flows. It just leaves, right? It goes somewhere else first, into someone else's hands, your 401ks, your IRAs, your money markets, your Acorn accounts, your apps, your HSAs, all these different buckets scattered all over the place with different rules and different limits on the access, right? You're limited on your control. They may or they may not grow. They redirect the same $15,000 into a system that they control. Now they're building something, right? They're building something that they have a guarantee, a pool of capital that they can access, capital that continues compounding even while they use it. And this is how many of you are already operating in your own system. But here's where most people hesitate, because the first year or even the second, it doesn't feel like you're winning yet. I've had this conversation. When you hit that efficiency point, it's like, woo, I'm there, right? But those first couple of years, it's long-term thinking. And this is where I always think about flying. Like when we were coming back yesterday from Utah, if you've ever flown before, you know what it feels like when the pilot's flying into a headwind. Let's say the plane is capable of flying 500 miles an hour, but there's a headwind of 50 miles an hour. So even though the engine's working hard, you're only moving forward at 450 miles an hour. It feels slower. It feels like you got your kids going, Dad, are we ever going to get there? Why is this taking so long? But does the pilot panic? No. The pilot doesn't turn around or doesn't land the airplane to wait for the wind to pass. The pilot stays the course because they know something most passengers don't think about. Eventually, that headwind dies down. And when it does, now you've got a tailwind, right? It's so much easier with a tailwind. So now that 500 mile an hour plane is going 530, 540, 550 miles an hour. Yesterday, we had a tailwind coming back to Florida, 50 miles an hour. I kept seeing it up on the screen. I was like, this is perfect. Everything speeds up. We get home sooner. And that's exactly what's happening with this concept, right? The first 1 to 2 years, you're pushing into a headwind. You're building the system. You're establishing the foundation. And it doesn't feel like the fastest path yet, but then over time, something shifts. The system becomes more efficient. You're compounding, right? That always goes like this, starts to outpace what you're putting in. Your access improves. Your control improves. And now you got the tailwind and things start moving faster, easier than you expected, than you could even imagine. That's why I tell this all the time. I say this on our Ask Me Anything, on this all the time. It takes about 2 years of patience for a lifetime of profitability. But most people quit in the headwind before they even get started. Builders, but not you guys. Builders stay long enough to catch the tailwind. And so let's look at an actual case study from the vault, right? Again, pulled up this great software, took the same person, had him contribute 10%, and let's look at what that can actually build. This is someone who's doing something really simple, very simple. $15,000 a year, again, about 10% of their income, following the first law of wealth. Nothing extreme, no speculation, no chasing returns, no looking to hit it out of the park with a big swing, just consistency and control. Now, watch what happens when the money is stored first instead of spent first, right? When we change the pattern. After 5 years, they've built $63,000 of accessible capital that they have control over, that they can leverage, that's liquid. After 10 years, that becomes $154,000. After 20, $296,000. And after 30 years, over $500,000 of capital that they control. And here's the part most people miss because of the distance that was covered. They only put in about $272,000 total. So think about that. They didn't invest perfectly. They didn't time the market. They didn't just get lucky. They changed one thing, where their money went first. Now remember, this whole time, that money is still accessible. It's still protected. It's still compounding. It still has guarantees, and it's still working for the family. It's doing multiple jobs simultaneously. So while most people are restarting every 3 to 5 years because they spent their capital, this person, the builder, is stacking control, right? They're stacking control. And this is where the shift happens. This is when it really starts to get exciting, because when you see this, you start to realize something. Most people don't have an income problem. They have a control problem. And once you fix where your money goes first, everything downstream changes. So let's slow down for a minute, right? Because this is everything we talked about either matters or it doesn't. You've seen it. You understand it. You can feel the difference between using money or controlling money. So the real risk isn't that this doesn't work. The real risk is that you wait, because waiting feels safe. Waiting feels responsible. Waiting feels like you're being thoughtful. But what's actually happening while you wait, life keeps moving. It's not waiting for you. Expenses keep coming. Opportunities show up, and you either are ready to take them or you miss them. You miss out altogether. There's going to be some big opportunities coming up soon. And every time you go back to the old system and you reset the clock again. And this is something that you don't lose all at once. You lose in years, quietly, one decision at a time. And most people don't realize it until they look back and wish they had started sooner. Something I hear on the majority of my calls, I wish I knew about this back then. And this isn't about getting this perfect. It's never going to be perfect. It's about getting it started, because builders don't wait for certainty. They build systems that create certainty. Borrowers wait. Builders decide. So I'll ask you one more time, not as a teacher, but as someone who's walked this path with a lot of families and has personally walked it myself. Why haven't you started yet? And if the answer is, I just need to think about it, just be honest with yourself. You're not thinking, you're delaying. If you're ready to control a system, to take back control, we'll help you design your specially engineered system. If you're not, hey, that's okay. Just don't tell yourself you don't understand this, because you do. If you're here, if you're watching this, you understand this more than most people do already. So as always, be blessed. If this hits you, smash, like, subscribe, ring the bell, get alerted to new content. Connor Patrick loves when the bell turns blue. Invite someone you like, someone that's in your life, to our Big Ass IBC bus. It's not for everyone, but everyone is always invited to ride. They can get on, get off the bus, but I'll see all of you in the next episode. So thank you always for being here.